Hi everyone and welcome. I'm Rosemary and in today's video I have 4 more dollar dinners made with extreme budget ingredients from Dollar Tree. Relative to the number of views, there was a huge positive response to last week's video. So here are 4 more quick, easy, nutritious, and delicious meals, and maybe best of all, they all come in around $2 or less per large adult serving. And since YouTube is throttling my channel anyway, and only showing my content to smaller and smaller audiences, I figure in these increasingly trying times, it's probably best to focus my efforts on the most useful content right now and dust off that D to try to help the best I can. So I'd like to start with this tasty combo of Texadelphia steak sandwich sliders and steak fries, coming in at just $1.83 per serving. I call them Texadelphia not because of the Texas-based sandwich shop, but because they use Texas toast for the bread and Philly-style thin sliced sirloin for the steak. All of these items come from the freezer section, with the Texas toast and potatoes from the $1.25 section and the steakums from the $3 section, for a total of $5.50 for these ingredients, which will make 2 adult and 2 child-sized portions or 3 full adult portions. I want to start this meal by putting the potatoes on first, and I'll just cook those according to package directions, placing them on a sheet pan in a single layer and baking at 425 for 25 minutes. Next, I'll start the sliders, and since I want to make little pockets with these Texas toast slices by cutting about 2/3 the way down on each slice, I'll need those to defrost a little, so I'll remove them from the packaging and set aside. Next, I'll take the frozen steak slices and break those into 4 pieces per slice so that they fit better in the pan, and then add them to a skillet over medium-high heat. I'll let those cook for about a minute or so until they start to brown, and then flip them over to the other side and continue to cook. Now, if you live in or visited the Philly area or have watched cooking shows or videos of cheesesteak shops, you'll know that many like to chop the steaks up with a spatula while they cook, while others prefer to keep the slices more intact. I like it both ways, but the more intact method is going to work better for this recipe, so I'll continue to gently flip the steaks while they cook for a total of about 4 minutes. Now at this stage you could add some cheese if you like, but since I'm trying to keep costs down, I'm going to omit, but the good news is that the flavoring on the bread itself does make up for the missing cheese. By now my Texas toasts have defrosted a little, so I'm going to go ahead and take those and gently cut down the middle, and you will get the best results if you use a bread knife if you have one. And notice I am not cutting the slice completely in half, just about 2/3 of the way down, and I'll do that for all 6 slices. Next, I'll remove the steak from the pan, and they are rather greasy, so you may want to use a little paper towel underneath to absorb some of that grease. However, many a cheesesteak enthusiast would beg to differ and would tell you, no, 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 the greasier, the better. Either way, next comes the seasoning, and I just like to use a little salt and pepper to taste. From here, I'll add the steak to the bread pockets, and then you have a couple of options. First, you could wipe out the same pan you cooked the steak in and grill the stuffed pockets over medium-high heat for a minute or 2 on each side until golden brown and heat it through. But since I already have my oven going for the potatoes, I'm going to go with the second option and place them on a baking sheet, then place them in the oven at that same 425-degree temperature that the potatoes have been cooking at, and then I'll place them in for about 4 to 5 minutes or until golden brown. And then here's what they'll look like when they're done. Now you see they've browned nicely and they're heated through, and they're absolutely scrumptious. Then the adult-sized portion will have 2 of the sliders along with 1/3 of the potatoes that I've seasoned with some salt and pepper to make a delicious and hearty meal. As for the cost breakdown, the combo of 1 pack of steakums, 1 box Texas toast, and 1 bag of the frozen steak cut potatoes totals $5.50 and yields 3 adult-sized portions at just $1.83 each. But as mentioned earlier, that 3rd adult portion can be easily split into 2 child-sized portions, easily feeding 2 adults and 2 younger children. Now, before going on to the next dollar dinner, I wanted to make some corrections to last week's video. For the mushroom penne alfredo, I mistakenly put the cost of 2 cans of soup at $1.25 instead of $2.50, which bumps the per meal serving from 88 cents to $1.13. I made the same mistake on the crab cakes, bumping that per meal serving from $1.38 to $1.69. Okay, so up next I have a Dollar Tree version of gnocchi with peas and prosciutto. Well, not exactly prosciutto, but close enough, especially at $1.29 per serving. Dollar Tree has these packs of gnocchi for just $1.25, so I picked up 2 of those along with a pack of deli ham, a pack of Dollar Tree cream cheese, a can of peas, some Parmesan, and also some milk, which missed the family portrait and had to be edited in later. I will also need some butter and garlic powder, and as I mentioned in last week's video, items that are pretty much kitchen staples like spices, condiments, oils, etc., and are typically already on hand, will still be added into the cost, and to assign a value, I'll use Walmart generic brand prices. To start, I put the salted water on to cook the gnocchi. Next, I took the deli ham and sliced that into small pieces. Then I took 2 of my 4 tablespoons of butter and melted that over medium-high heat, then added the ham pieces and sautéed till slightly crispy about 3 minutes. Now, of course, the authentic version of this dish does call for Italian salted hams like prosciutto or pancetta, but this deli ham makes an affordable substitute, and crisping it like this helps to bring it more in line with those Italian originals. At this point, the water was boiling, and my apologies. I thought that the entire pot was in the shot, but if you look at the very top left of the screen, you can see that I'm adding the gnocchi to the boiling water, and these will cook super fast and will be done when they start to pop up to the top in only about 4 minutes or so I'll need to keep an eye on those. Now, if you're familiar with the Italian version, you know that the sauce for this dish varies between like a light butter garlic to a full-blown Alfredo. And in this version, we're going to go more towards the full-blown Alfredo style. So I cubed the cream cheese and added that to the pan along with the remaining 2 tablespoons of butter, and then stirred until creamy, about 2 minutes. Next, I added my first 1/2 cup of milk, and once that was mixed in, I added my second 1/2 cup of milk. Stirred that until mixed in, and then added the can of drained peas. But before I could get to my next ingredients, those gnocchis were already starting to pop up to the top. So I gave them a stir, and yep, they were done. So I needed to drain those first, then added them to the sauce. Next, I added those remaining ingredients, including 1 tablespoon of the garlic powder, about 1/2 a container of the Parmesan, and salt and pepper. Now, depending on how thick or thin you like your sauce, you can add more milk in increments of 1/2 cups until you reach your desired consistency. And that's it. A quick, easy, and delicious meal made with nutritious ingredients like milk, peas, and gnocchi potato dumplings. Even a little protein in the ham. Buon appetito! As for the cost breakdown of this dish, 2 packs of gnocchi, 1 pack ham, 1 cream cheese, 1 can peas, 1/2 container of both the Parmesan and milk, plus 4 tablespoons of butter and 1 tablespoon of garlic totals $7.79. But since this combo yields 6 adult-sized servings, the cost per meal comes in at just $1.29. Now, like I mentioned earlier, from my point of view, this inflation situation is getting a little insane, with it getting harder and harder to make ends meet. So I feel a little silly putting energy and effort into making new ways to hack Dollar Tree pumpkins when I could be filming inexpensive ways to put nutritious meals on the table. But maybe I'm tripping. So please take a minute to let me know what you think. If it's yes, more meals, please, then please type more in the comments. However, if you're like, I don't know what you're talking about, bring on the pumpkins, please type decor. Thanks. For the next dollar dinner, I have a fusion of sorts of 2 classic entrees, barbecue chicken and cornbread, and chicken and waffles, which I combined into this meal idea with shredded barbecue chicken over cornbread waffles with a green bean side. And don't worry if you don't have a waffle maker, I'll also show you how to make cornbread pancakes instead. Either way, this tasty meal is sure to be a hit taste-wise without being a hit pocket-wise, coming in at just $1.96 per adult serving. To make this meal, I picked up 2 of these Dollar Tree pulled barbecue chicken packs and 1 pack of corn muffin mix, but I'll only be using half, and you could use 1 box of Jiffy instead if you had that on hand, 1 can of creamed corn, and an egg. I also picked up 1 bag of frozen green beans, and I'm going to get those started first and just keep it simple and prepare those according to package directions. Next, I'll take my packs of frozen barbecue chicken and empty those into a saucepan and gently defrost over medium heat. In the meantime, I'll put my waffle iron on to heat. Then I'll make my cornbread batter by placing 1/2 of the bag of mix into a bowl, and then next I'll add 1 can of creamed corn and 1 egg. Then mix well and set aside. By now the chicken was defrosted, and as you can see, that sauce is very thin. So at this point, I'd like to thicken it up a bit, but since I don't want to toughen up or chance burning the meat, I'm going to go ahead and remove the chicken first. Then I can successfully raise the heat and boil off that excess liquid. I'll let that boil for about 3 minutes, and while that's going, I'm going to go ahead and put a waffle on. And as you can see, I really want to load it up with this batter, getting a nice amount in each section. Close the lid and then let it cook. Now back to the sauce, and that's looking pretty good, and you can see how it's thickened up considerably. So I'm now going to add back the meat and let that simmer until the meat is again heated through and starts to break down into shreds. I had some extra barbecue sauce in the fridge, so I stirred a little in as a flavor boost, but it's not necessary. And then once my waffle was ready, I took it out of the iron, and you can see how beautifully these come out. Nice and high with a crisp outside and moist inside with yummy kernels of corn throughout. I'll arrange a few pieces of the waffle on a plate and then spoon the chicken on top. And then some shredded cheese sprinkled on top of that makes a nice presentation, but is again not necessary. Add the green beans, seasoned with a little salt, pepper, and butter, and you have not only another quick, easy, and delicious dollar dinner, but also a fun twist on a couple of all-time favorite classics. And to make the cornbread pancakes, I just added the batter to a buttered pan on the stove, cooked until brown on the bottom, and then flip. Then just plate and top as before. And honestly, I like the taste of this version even better. And now for the cost breakdown, this combination of barbecue chicken, cream corn, corn muffin mix, egg, and green beans totals $5.87 and yields 3 adult-sized portions, resulting in a per meal cost of only $1.96 for this hearty, nutritious meal. And of course, that third adult portion, like all the adult portions in this video, can be split to make child-sized portions, easily feeding a family of 2 adults and 2 younger children. And speaking of sharing, please consider sharing this video, since with all that throttling, that would really help to get my content out beyond the limited exposure YouTube is allowing. Unless, of course, I get one past the goalie, which is always a possibility. For the last dollar dinner, I have another quick and easy meal, Parmesan and panko crusted Pollock with rice and collard greens coming in at just $1.60 per adult serving. At Dollar Tree, I picked up some panko and Parmesan cheese, canned collard greens, and then for the rice, I'll be using the more budget-friendly 2-pound bag of Omega rice, but I wanted to also point out that if you're pressed for time, these ready pouches of rice are also really good, but they will cost significantly more than the raw rice per serving. And from the freezer section, I picked up frozen Pollock fillets. Now this is in the $5 section, but they do have 6 individual servings in the bag, so it is a pretty good buy. I'll also need 3 tablespoons of oil and 2 tablespoons of dried parsley. Then to start, I'm going to make up my rice according to package directions for the amount of servings, and for the collard greens, I have to say that in my opinion, this Margaret Holmes brand with their seasoned greens are really good, and you could doctor them up a bit to make them even better, but they're pretty tasty right out of the can. So I'll just be warming them up a bit, and you can do that stovetop or microwave. As for the Pollock, I'm going to start by taking 1 cup of the panko breadcrumbs and toast them on the stovetop in a pan that I preheated to medium-high heat. I'll let those toast a minute or 2, then flip to distribute the toasting. I'll continue to do this until the crumbs are pretty well toasted all around, about 4 to 5 minutes. While those were toasting, I removed the Pollock from the individual serve packaging since I am making a family dinner. However, these individual serve packs are terrific if you just need single serves or smaller amounts. When the breadcrumbs were done toasting, I removed them from the pan and placed in a bowl. I then wiped the pan and allowed it to come back up to heat before adding 2 tablespoons of the oil, then added in the Pollock fillets. I'm going to let them cook on medium-high for about 5 minutes. In the meantime, I'm going to prepare my topping. So to the bowl of toasted panko, I added 1/2 of the container of Parmesan, or about 1/2 cup, the tablespoons of parsley, then some salt, pepper, and a pinch of cayenne, and gave the mixture a good stir. Next, I mixed in the oil. Once the 5 minutes were up, I flipped the fish, then topped each fillet with the crumb coating. I then covered the pan and cooked for another 3 or so minutes. And then that's it. Your panko and Parmesan Pollock fillets are ready. Place on a bed of your cooked rice along with a side of the warmed collards for a balanced and nutritious meal. This was such a good value for 6 fillets, and along with the rice, greens, and panko, parm, oil, and parsley totals $9.60. But since it yields 6 servings, it comes in at only $1.60 per serving. Well, that's it for this week's Dollar Dinners. And if you missed last week's, you can check out a link here. And if you're really jonesing for those decor pieces, here's a link to those as well. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.